Well, welcome back, everybody. This is the Maine Hockey Report. I'm your host, Benjamin Kennedy. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. We've got a bit to talk about tonight, talk about the Maine Mariners and their mixed bag weekend, talk a little bit about the Boston Bruins, a little bit of NHL news. But before we do that, just a big thank you to Neston's Adam Pellerin for coming on the podcast last week. We had about a 40-minute conversation, all things Boston Bruins. Adam couldn't have been better, couldn't have been more generous with his time and his busy schedule. So please, if you haven't, go check that video out. Very, very thankful to Adam for that. Of course, it is 10 days before Christmas. I hope everybody's getting that shopping, getting that Christmas wrapping done. I still have a little ways to go yet. I'm probably 75-ish% done, so I'm feeling pretty good about it. But man, it comes quick. It just comes quick every year. So hope everybody's enjoying this holiday season. Of course, here in the Northeast, a little bit of snow on the ground, so it is feeling very festive out there. Of course, I did tease this on the broadcast from the Cross Insurance Arena on Saturday night. I do have a very special announcement to make for the podcast here. As you guys know, this podcast started about a year and a half ago, started as Pucks from the Pinetree Pod. I just recently rebranded to the Maine Hockey Report. And now the Maine Hockey Report is part of the Hockey Podcast Network. You can go online and check them out. It is at www.thehockeypodcastnetwork.com. Great group of guys and girls, all sorts of other podcasters, part of this network, ranging from those covering NHL teams to original content. Great network. I'm so excited, so thankful to Kyle and his team for welcoming me into their network. So, you won't probably see too much different here on the pod. You'll see their emblem, I'm sure, on here. Overall, guys, I am just so excited for this. This is a big, big step for this podcast. A podcast, as some of you guys know, this summer, I was struggling. I was like, do I just quit doing this? But super excited for this. Can't wait to see where it goes. And again, big, big thank you to the Hockey Podcast Network for welcoming me and this channel in. So with that said, let's talk about the Maine Mariners and what we saw over the weekend. Going back to December 12th, it was a 3-1 win over Trois-Rivières, of course, the Kelly Cup defending champions. Maine getting the better of the shots on this one, 23-21. That was 5-14-4 for Maine, 7-8-6 for Trois. Trois 1 for 3 on the power play. Maine 0 for 2. Of course, Maine scoring 3 goals in a row after trailing in this one 1-0. It's Dielstra getting his first one from Jones and Gallatin. Lampa getting number 5 on the year, assisted by Anderson, and it was an empty netter, Hudson from Vidmar closing that one out. Kavlin with the win, 20 saves on 21 shots. Turning the page to Saturday night, of course, the big rival, the Worcester Railers, coming into town. Shots on goal on this one, guys, 34 apiece, but Worcester winning this one 4-2 after a fairly dominant third period. First period shots, Worcester 13-7. Maine getting the better of it in the second period, 15-9 and 12 apiece in the third. Worcester on the power play, 1 for 4. Maine 2 for 4 in this one. And your Maine Mariner goal scorers, Andreev getting his sixth of the year in the second period. It's Cronin getting number 5 for himself in the third. That one assisted by Thompson and Hemstrom. The Andreev goal assisted by Nielsen. Arvanitis, bad luck Arvanitis, taking a loss in this one. 30 saves on 33 shots. Probably played better than the results would indicate here. I'll talk about this game a little bit. I was on the broadcast with Mike Keeley for this one, and you felt like kind of when you got into that third period 1-1, we were kind of saying this is a winnable game. But we go back to our pregame notes, guys, and I was really harping on the fact that I wanted to see a kind of a start on time situation here. The last 2 games for Worcester, they had given up just a ton of shots on goal in those first period, had given up 5 first period goals over the last 2 games. So you kind of felt like they were a little bit vulnerable. You felt like their goaltender was a little bit vulnerable coming into this one. And Maine coming in, we know the struggles they've had in first periods, even getting shots on goal. Before Saturday night, their first period shots on goal over the last five shots, 15 shots, good one there, 5, 10, and 4. So 3 of the last 5 games coming in, you haven't even generated anything more than 5 shots, period. So, of course, this game here against Worcester, you do get 7 shots, but it's kind of the same story where it's a nothing first period. And really, I would say all 3 periods started with, I'd say Maine having a little bit of offensive energy, but Worcester tilting the ice in all 3 of those periods. Another big thing we talked about in the pregame was the power play. Coming into the game, they were 1 for the last 31. Their last power play goal was back on the 28th of November down in Norfolk. So this is another one of those games, guys, where if you told me that Maine was going to get 2 power play goals, which they did, they're winning this game all day, right? You would just assume that. But end of the day, as Mike and I talked about on the broadcast and in the post game, Worcester just played a better 60 minutes, through and through. Maine was able to turn it on in the second. That's one thing I like about this Mariners team is that they are able to adjust. They do take to coaching in the locker room, in between periods. And they came out really on fire in that second period with the 15 shots, producing, the Andreev goal, but just not enough. Just not enough. Frustrating, I think, for Arbonitis. Of course, you had a situation with the one goal that took a really weird hop off a stanchion, which just kind of ends up out in front, and nothing Arbonitis can do on that goal right there. So he was kind of getting that kind of luck as this game went on. But really, Maine struggled to generate ozone time throughout this game. Worcester really tilted the ice in that case. And the Worcester goaltender, Gehagen, really struggled with rebound control. I just thought there were so many rebound opportunities, and Maine just couldn't quite get their sticks, out there enough to pop anything in. So just, again, a real frustrating one. And, of course, Maine did hit a couple posts in this one, too. Kalmakoff getting one early. He was all over it for sure. Just couldn't get anything to go. So, we didn't see, they did get a little bit punchy as the game went on, but this was not a heavy forechecking type of game. And that's something that you did see out of Maine earlier on. Of course, they have lost a lot of players, both to Providence and other clubs and to injury. So, this isn't the healthiest roster we've seen. We are going to be getting some players back here real soon, so that is encouraging. But clearly, they're not the physical presence that they had been earlier on. In Worcester, as we referenced, a month ago, this was a barely an ECHL team. I hate to say it, they were bad. They were bad. But as we know, and as Mike has said a number of times, you're never as bad as you think you are. You're never as good as you think you are in the ECHL. Rosters change so frequently, and we're certainly seeing that, play out. I would just say, of course, Cronin gets that power play goal, and you really feel like, all right, we've got some momentum now. But it was Miata just a little over a minute later, getting the third goal that really kind of took the kind of the steam out of it, I would say, for that Saturday night. And, penalty trouble again in that third period. You end up, the fourth goal by Callan was an empty netter. It was also on a power play. Maine trying to play 5-on-5 with the goalie pulled, trying to tie it up. You just put yourself in a bad spot with some fairly undisciplined play late in that one. So tough one there. Tough, especially because it was the Portland Pirates throwback night. What a great pregame presentation with some former Portland Pirates coming back. And as Mike had referenced on the call, both head coaches, former Portland Pirates as well. So that's pretty cool. Great seeing the sweaters out there on the ice, and great seeing all the merch, in the stands. Of course, there will be another throwback night coming up in January, so be ready for that one. But yeah, kind of spoiled it a little bit. Pretty good crowd in the building. But there you have it. There you have it. Looking at the current standings in the ECHL, we'll start in the North Division. Wheeling kind of running away with this one, 19-5-1 with 39 points. The Reading Royals in second place alone, 13-10-2 for 28 points. Your Maine Mariners 11-6-4 for 26 points. Adirondack right behind them with 25 points, 11-7-3. Trois-Rivières 10-8-3 with 23 points. Worcester 10-10-2 for 22 points. Newcomer Greensboro 6-11-5 with 17 points, and Norfolk 6-15-2 for 14 points. Real quick look at the South Division. The Florida Everblades, 36 points for them, 17-5-2. South Carolina, 16-9-1 with 33 points. Atlanta, 16-6 for 32 points. Jacksonville, 12-12-0 with 24 points. Greenville, 23 points. It's 10-9-3 record. Savannah, 8-10-3 with 19 points. And the Orlando Solar Bears, 7-13-2. We will head out west to the Central Division. Fort Wayne sitting in first place, 32 points for them, 15-6-2. Toledo, 13-5-4 for 30 points. Bloomington, 13-6-4 for 30 points. Cincinnati, 12-9-2 for 26 points. Indy, 9-11-3 for 21 points. Kalamazoo, 8-11-3 for 19 points. And Iowa, 8-13-2 for 18 points. And finally, out to the Mountain Division. Idaho sitting in first place, 16-7-3 for 35 points. The Kansas City Mavericks, 15-6-2 for 32 points. Tahoe, 14-10-2 for 30 points. Wichita, 10-9-4, 24 points. Rapid City, 11-11-2 for 24 points. The Allen Americans, 10-9-3 for 23 points. Utah, 10-12-2 for 22 points. And the Tulsa Oilers, 9-13 for 18 points. So coming up next for your Maine Mariners, they are heading up to Trois-Rivières for a 2-game tilt, Friday night at 7 p.m., Saturday matinee at 3 p.m. They won't be back home at the Cross until after Christmas, so they do have a 3-game homestand right after that on the 26th against Worcester. That's a 7:15 puck drop. And then 2 matinee games following against Trois-Rivières on the 27th and 28th. So go get your tickets for those ones. But, as we said, a lot of Trois and a lot of Worcester on the schedule, but really important games when you start to just look at how kind of bunched up the standings are. I mean, you are, 3 points from being in second place all alone, but you're also just 3 points away from being down in 5th or 6th place right now, too. So that's how tight things are. Looking at Trois-Rivières, of course, we did get the win against them on Friday night. Just looking at some of their key numbers right now. Looking at the power play, they're at 17.9%. Their penalty kill is at 82.7%. +3 in the goals scored, difference there, 61 goals scored, 58 against. And then looking at some of their top players here, they have from the forward group, Anthony Biergaard, 16 points for him, 6-10, 6 goals, 10 assists. And then Tommy Cormier, 2 goals, 12 assists for 14 points. You have Isaac Dufort chipping in with 10 points as well. It's 5, and 10 for him. And then from a defensive perspective, they have Charles Martin, 5, 9, and 14. So 14 points for him. Goaltending, they have Benjamin Gaudreau, 13 games played, has 4 wins, 2.44 goals against, and a .915 save percentage. Hunter Jones has gotten into 10 games so far, 6 wins for him, a 2.22 goals against, and a .905 save percentage. Of course, it is Luke Calvelin, who was their goaltender a year ago now, playing for our Maine Mariners. And now a word from DraftKings, the jaw-dropping moments that make hockey, hockey. Experience them all with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN and turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas, pass-through of per wager tax may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.com/audio. Limited time offer. Copyright NHL 2025. All rights reserved. All right. So we had a Boston Bruins game last night, didn't we? Yow. Yikes. That was ugly. That was absolutely ugly. Sure, you get Minnesota when they introduced Quinn Hughes. They had all sorts of energy. Minnesota's been playing really good hockey. I mean, that's not a surprise. That's not really top end analysis here, guys. But they've been way better than I thought they would be this year. Now you add Quinn Hughes to the mix, they're going to be right there in that Central Division, a very, very tough Central Division, no question. But really, from the drop of the puck, I didn't really feel like Boston had much to offer last night. End of a road trip. You already had 2 wins, so you end the road trip with a 2-1 record, so you're feeling okay about that. But a 6-2 loss last night, where you just got kind of blown off the ice a little bit. Frustrating for sure, but I guess if you go on a road trip like that, you take 2-1, take the 4 out of 6 points, you feel okay. I think now you just want to make sure you don't have any bad habits that start to slip into your game. You want to just have that be a one-off. That, hey, Minnesota had all the energy. They were home. They're playing really good hockey right now, and they're kind of a tough team to go up against. And again, just a little unlucky that you have to go in against Quinn Hughes on his first night in Minnesota. But the Bruins will be back home tomorrow night playing the Utah Mammoth, a game that I will be attending live. So I'm looking forward to that. My first Bees game live this year. So hopefully they'll play a little bit better than they did last night. But I think just overall, guys, I mean, if you're a Boston Bruins fan, you can't be sad about this season so far. They are played way above expectations, way ahead of where I think a lot of us thought they would be. Playing that physical kind of grinding style, scoring a little bit more than we expected. Swayman, of course, didn't look great last night, but has looked pretty good throughout the year. A problem, however, and something they have to clean up, and it played out last night, is just untimely penalties. Just too many, too often. It's been a problem for a couple of years now, but it's a problem this year, and that does come with playing that physical brand of hockey that they do. But some of these have nothing to do with physicality. It just sticks in the bad spot, or just a little undisciplined, and you'd like to see them clean up. Their PK's been okay, but man, you're testing it far too often, and that can come back to bite you, and it might, for this group. So we will see what we see tomorrow night. Of course, Utah did beat Boston earlier this year when Boston made that West Coast trip. So Bruins will be looking for a little payback. It'll be fun to see Utah with their uniforms, their new logo, and all that in the Garden tomorrow night. Of course, a little bit of news around the NHL. Buffalo Sabres finally making a decision with their general manager, firing Kevin Adams out the door. Kekalainen, I should say, coming in. Of course, Kekalainen had been the GM of Columbus, I believe. So a move that was, probably, 2-3 years too late, but one that absolutely had to happen. I just don't know what this Buffalo team does. It's been 14 years without playoffs, and they've gone through a few GMs, but you could just see that Adams wasn't getting it done. I don't think there was any confidence left from the fan base or from ownership in him, and out the door he goes. I have a few Buffalo Sabre fans in my circle, so I'll be really curious to hear their thoughts and what their hopes are, because it can't get much worse. Can it? I don't know. I don't even want to say that. I hope it doesn't get any worse for them. Hopefully this is a move in the right direction. And some injury news around the league. Of course, Connor Bedard from Chicago being put on IR, as did Will Smith and Kurashev, both from San Jose. So a couple young players there going on IR, so be watching to see how long those guys are out. Of course, Bedard having a very good season for himself, a bit of a bounce back for himself, so that's great to see. One of the rising young stars in the NHL. So, guys, that's what we have for you tonight. I am working on a couple more guests, one locally here that you all will, if you're in the Portland, Maine area, will recognize. So looking forward to locking that down and getting that guest on. But yeah, thank you all for watching and listening. Of course, thank you so much for your support. If you're new to the channel, thank you for giving this a chance. Thank you for checking this out. Hit that like and subscribe button down below. It certainly helps me out. If you're already been subscribed to my channel, I absolutely thank you for that support. I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of your evening. And until next time, everybody, be kind, show love, and God bless.